Hey, hello all. I'm Charvak Lokayata. People know me as ex-Hinduist as well, and I'm back after so many days. I welcome you all the viewers for watching, and I hope you share this live, like this live, comment on this, subscribe the channel if you haven't. So today I'm going to be looking at a very peculiar personality person who comes across the TV news debate as a so-called neutral person, so-called neutral person or so-called expert. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have any credibility. He has a credibility that he is a scientist. He's somebody who works on molecular biology, so he is an expert in that field. That's all right. But when it comes to, society, politics, religion, he seems to take a stand that left, liberal, communists are all like the left side of it. But when you look at closely, you look at so-called communist party, they are revisionists. Basically, they are advocating for some kind of mixed policies. They are not even revolutionary party, for example, for that matter. Nothing close to it. And then you have Congress and the regional party. More or less, they are classical liberalism. They have classical liberalism with caste identity or some Nehruvian tinge attached to it. That's what they are basically. And he himself, the person who claims to debunk and point out the hypocrisy of the left, the liberal, the communist, or blah 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 blah, he ends up supporting all the neoliberal policies of the current Modi government. Basically, if you say Congress, it is like a liberalism with Nehruvian color on it, and the current government, it is basically neoliberal. It means extensive privatization, reducing corporate tax, increasing the tax on the number of items to be purchased, and consumer tax. So that's what the current government is doing, which is what we call as neoliberalism. Basically, it's another name for the austerity economic policy, which is being called as neoliberalism. And he supports that. He even goes on far to endorse it throughout his tweets, indirectly or directly. And he claims that the left is hypocrite, communists are hypocrite, the librandus are hypocrite. Then what are the neoliberals about? I mean, neoliberals से बड़ा hypocrites तो कोई और हो ही नहीं सकता. दो ही मैं personally claim कि मैं neoliberal नहीं हूँ, but his actions tell that he is doing neoliberalism. Basically, that's what he is doing. A neoliberal conservatism. So you have certain in West what you see as uh, differences among political parties are most of them, almost all of them are liberal, but it's like neoliberal conservatism, liberal conservatism, liberal, not so conservative, but kind of okay in between, centerist, center left, something like that. That's what you see in the West, basically. And Anand Ranganathan is actually taking the side of neoliberal conservatism, which is like the Republican Party, the Ronald Reagan, the Donald Trump. Basically, that's what they are. And he seems to take that same position for India. He pretends that he is some kind of neutral guy, but he comes out as a person who rants against all the other parties except for BJP. He never questions BJP. He never bothers to raise his voice against the authority or even remotely have a say in it. Basically, he used to be somebody working for News Laundry, and he used to write articles on nationalism, regionalism, religious extremism. He used to call out Nathuram Godse, etc., etc. Somebody even went on to defend Gandhi indirectly or directly as well when he was in the News Laundry. And this was back in 2000. 17. After 2017, I am not sure what it is, but I suspect black money was probably found at his house and he shifted his allegiance or cult to the right wing. I mean, probably left wing cult का था पहले, लेकिन बाद में वो right wing cult में चला गया. And then he suddenly changed his tune. He is like, यार गांधी तो racism है यार, ये racist है, ये तो casteist है. Partly I agree on that. I won't say anything disagreeing on that. But what the real point is, he's somebody who even endorses or even defends Nathuram Godse. Surely you don't want a civilian criminal roaming in your neighborhood and shooting you just because you don't believe his so-called Hindu Rashtra. Okay. You certainly don't want that, but he's somebody who indirectly endorses it now. Okay. And he's, when it comes to atrocities committed by the Islamic extremist, he is very vocal, and that's all right. I support that. That's absolutely fine. Okay. But the real question comes when the Hindutva extremist does the same, almost the similar thing to the Muslim community through mob lynching and whatever, college slogans, through riots and blah blah blah. He is somewhat mum completely. And that's where he gets into this crazy debate that we are not even second class citizen, we are eighth class citizen. So on one hand, he goes into YouTube channel claiming himself, "Ki I'm a very proud Hindu. I'm proud to be Indian. I'm proud to be this, proud to be that." But he ends up saying like, "We're an eighth class citizen in Hindu Rashtra. There is a state-sponsored apartheid in India. Freaking, you voted Yogi Adityanath in UP. You voted Modi in, means two times to the center, and you're still saying, you're still ranting." And by the way, don't forget, before Modi we had Vajpayee's government between 1996 to 2003, majority of it 2004, let's say. Okay, so he's still ranting that we are eighth class citizens. So the real question is, what was Atal Bihari Vajpayee doing to remove this eighth class status? What was Modi doing to remove this eighth class status? What is Yogi doing to remove this eighth class status? Freaking, you should be asking them the question. They are in the power. So he seems to be like a person who likes to close the alternatives to neoliberal conservatism, in short, the austerity economic policies. Basically, that's what he is doing. Okay. And he comes across channels like Times Now, Republic TV, News 18 with this rhetoric that we have this 1991 Religious Worship Act, we have Waqf Board Act, we don't have freedom to run Gurukul and our educational institution. Is he really blind to see that ISKCON Ramakrishna Mission already runs tons and thousands of schools run on charity? Is he blind to it, to even say that? He makes claim that to take back the land from Waqf board, there will be separate court by Waqf. But what he forgets to mention is that same article tells that there needs to be magistrate from the High Court. There needs to be a government officer, a civil servant officer. Only in their presence will that proceedings happen. He never bothers to mention that. He selectively ignores it, and he makes the point that वक्फ बोर्ड ने आपका लैंड चोरी कर लिया है, अब आप क्या करोगे, आप खतरे में हो. He does that. He talks about Kashmiri Pandits, and rightly so, we should do talk about it. I mean, anywhere any injustice happens, it's right that voices are raised, questions are asked, criticisms do happen. That's okay, all right. So it's fair he talks about Kashmiri Pandit, but here is the problem what he misses. Okay, he never opens and bothers to open the website which talks about what the government of India has actually extensively done about Kashmiri Pandits. He never tells the aids given to them, the number of assistances given to them, the number of settlements that has already been taking place. He never even bothers to mention, but he is saying until last Kashmiri Pandit is settled, this, blah, 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 is like a genocidal this thing. Hang on, you removed Article 370. Terror attacks never stopped with Article removing Article 370. It still continues to happen, and our army bravely gives away their life in fighting that, which we all respect. But you are forgetting something here. Kashmiri Pandits have moved on. Most of them have actually moved on in many ways. And he also seems to forget that majority of Kashmiri Pandits, at least the well-off Kashmiri Pandits, more of them are even moving out of India. अब तो उनको इंडिया से भी मतलब नहीं कि चलो भाई हमको नौकरी मिल गया, हमको जॉब मिल गया, चलो हम चलते हैं फॉरेन में कोई नौकरी करके सेटल हो जाते हैं. Most Indians are even leaving their citizenship. The number of people living their Indian citizenship, you go out and check the list and what the Ministry of External Affairs has said in the parliament, it is quite shocking. I mean, over the last 7-8 years, more than 2 lakh people have given up their Indian citizenship and they have taken up to outside India's other country citizenship. So basically, it's kind of quite shocking, but he wouldn't bother to point out these things. He would rather continue to rant on Hindu Khatre Mein Hai. He would continue to rant on the same old things which BJP used to rant on 30 years back, 40 years back when they were not in power. But now that they're in power, he is unable to question. So the only thing he can do is point out the hypocrisy of communists, hypocrisy of liberals, hypocrisy of left. Wow. And he can point out their selective outrages while ignoring the same selective outrages from ABVP, BJP, Bajrang Dal, and you name the entire Hindutva Sangh Parivar. Basically, he's actually trying to play a very classical neoliberal game plan here. Basically, you see in American media, or you see, have you seen the Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, on those media where you see that the moment you try to critique the neoliberal capitalism, or somebody tries to suggest that America's economy is something messed up, we need to clean this, we need a better system, new system, they suddenly tell like, hey, communism has failed, socialism has failed, and they start ranting on that. And of course, there they don't involve any Hindu or Muslim. They just state that Soviet Union failed, Cuba failed, Venezuela failed, as some sort of the patchy examples of it to convince the audience. But here in Indian media, it's like tadka. There is a masala to be added in the Indian media. It would be quite boring for Ranga to tell that, है भाई आप जो है वो मोदी के इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी को आप सपोर्ट करो, सपोर्ट कटिंग ऑन द कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स, सपोर्ट ऑन increasing the number of items to be covered under the GST tax regime, increase spending on military, reduce spending on education and healthcare, reduce and do privatization of all the government sector, to say that it could be quite embarrassing. So rather he would distract the public on the news media. भाई मैं बैठ के पब्लिक को डिस्ट्रैक्ट करूंगा, मैं बोलूंगा भाई तू सवाल ही मत कर, तू क्यों लेफ्ट की तरफ देख रहा है, तू लिबरल की तरफ क्यों देख रहा है, कम्युनिस्ट की तरफ देख रहा है, देखो दे आर ऑल hypocrites, while he himself is a neoliberal con basically. And when he talk about communism in India, it's more or like a revisionist. Communists in India were not even a strict sense kind of progressive. I mean, they too were conservative in many areas, basically. So to say कि भाई कम्युनिस्ट को मैं डिबंक कर रहा हूँ, भाई कम्युनिस्ट क्या डिबंक कर रहे हो? आप आइडियोलॉजी को डिबंक कर रहे हो कि पार्टी को डिबंक कर रहे हो? यू वुड हैव टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक हियर. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट आइडियोलॉजी, इट्स लाइक कहाँ पे गया? वो तो उड़ गया. After the post liberalization, the Congress party in fact adopted classical neoliberalism with Nehruvian welfare system. Basically, that's what the Congress party did after the 1990s economic liberalization. What BJP did was slightly ahead. What they did was, hey, हम तो भाई लिबरल में ही नहीं अटकेंगे, हम तो भाई न्यू लिबरल बनेंगे, हम तो ऑस्टेरिटी इकोनॉमिक लाएंगे, हम तो प्राइवेटाइजेशन करेंगे, हम जो है सब्सिडी हटाएंगे, हम तो ये कर देंगे, वो कर देंगे. बेसिकली ऑस्टेरिटी इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज दैट से कि यू reduce the spending on social service, education, healthcare, you cut the corporate taxes, you either increase the taxes on the consumer items or you increase the number of consumer items under the tax regime, okay, and you increase the tax on petrol, diesel, you that is the excise duty, and you also do like privatization of government sector. Austerity economic policy, the neoliberal economic policy, which developed and emerged during the time of Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. Basically, that's what they are kind of started advocating from the right from the 90s. Basically, BJP went that way. Gandhian socialism वो वेबसाइट के लिए हम रख लेंगे दिखाने के लिए. Basically, they went away from that long back. Then you come across Congress that between 2004 to 2014 were following a liberal economic policy with Nehruvian tinge of it, little bit of Nehruvian color on it. Basically, that's what they were doing, and even it now continues to be somewhat like that. So basically, there is not much difference between them and the BJP. However, Ranga thinks that they're as good as Marxist, they're as good as anti-capitalist. When in fact, when you remember, the Naxalite Red Corridor was extensively, you know, brought down by the Manmohan Singh government over the 10-year period, which is an astonishing success when you look at it, which is what they did. But he somehow pretends they're all leftist. And he portrays himself as I'm not leftist when in fact he's a neoliberal con. He may not say it, he may not believe it, but he does that only. A neoliberal con, basically. Okay. So in India, the fight is between classical liberalism, revisionism with Nehruvian tinge versus the neoliberalism. That's what it is. There is no communism. There is no, कि भाई हम क्रांति कर देंगे, इनकलाब जिंदाबाद. There is nothing like that. There is nothing even far from anti-capitalism. There is nothing called as even anti-capitalism in India. But he pretends that it all exists and are somehow supporting the Muslims, the Islamists, the terrorists. Hang on. What the heck are you talking about? What the heck are you talking about? The neoliberal policies of US established the Mujahideen. He seems to forget that in Afghanistan. And yet he supports the same neoliberal economic policies which says the war must continue because our weapons must be sold. Basically, that's what he is doing, but he won't admit it. Probably he will never, basically. So this is the real issue here. And people get swayed away. They think, oh, he's like great. He's speaking well. He's intelligent. He's this, that. Oh, sir, I got impressed. Oh, great, sir. He debunked. And somebody will share me the clip. Hey, you know what? That Anand Ranganathan, he spat on your face. See, look at them. They can't even reply. They can't even answer his counter. Basically, that's not the impression he creates. All he does is the complete public ignorance of what liberalism is, what neoliberalism is, what anti capitalism is, what nationalism is. complete public ignorance का फायदा उठाओ. Basically, that's what he is doing. And I don't really blame the public either. I mean, I do think the society and the kind of environment we create in general is such that you end up listening to people like him, Abhijit Chavda, Jay Sai, Deepak, and all, and you probably do ताली बजाओगे. मैं ताली बजा के आ जाऊंगा. मेरे को जो भी अच्छा लगता है सब अच्छा बोलते हैं वो, basically. Today most American, yeah, that's what I mean. Hindutva is actually kind of ashamed to admit कि हाँ भाई हम न्यू लिबरल पॉलिसी को ही फॉलो कर रहे हैं. They feel kind of ashamed to even admit it. But basically what they're doing is almost the same as what uh, Pinochet did in Chile and what Ronald Reagan did in US. That's what they're doing basically. Roshan is writing, welcome back, dear. Be regular with fixed timing, even once per week, so that you will be better prepared and audience will be regular to attend. I am planning to do it every Sunday, 8 p.m. That would be the most ideal for me. Ranga Anpad hai. I wish that would have been the case, but the point is, he is a scientist. He seems to hold a degree. He seems to be very educated, at least in the field of science. But his recent take on the Richard Dawkins post, kind of puts my own doubts on his, uh, you know, uh, his way of rationalism or atheism. I mean, he claims to be atheist, but I don't know what he is. Who is Ranga? Okay, I'm talking about Anand Ranganathan, who claims to be a political analyst, who claims to be a religious debunker. And by the way, I don't think he is somebody who has debunked Islam the first. You had Salman Rushdie, okay, back in the day when he published Satanic Verses, who actually debunked Islam in many ways. You had Ibn Warak in the 1980s, who published his book Why I Am Not a Muslim. So even that's an interesting read. So to think that he is somebody, an intellectual who has debunked Islam, who has shown the left their hypocrisy. And by the way, I do admit that there are issues in the Indian left and the Indian liberal thing, but it's an Indian thing here, basically. That's what I mean. And you're doing stream after such a long gap. Yeah, what to do? That is the problem, because I was busy with many works and there were many other things, so I just couldn't get time. Yeah. Today, most American are dying because of a neoliberal boy. Yeah, I mean, that's true, because that's what neoliberalism is. The real policy of neoliberalism depends on the fact that आप प्रॉफिट को मैक्सिमाइज करो कॉरपोरेशन का, and that corporation profit will act like a partnership with the government, saying कि भाई आप प्राइवेटाइजेशन कर दो PSUs का. Basically, that's what the neoliberalism is. Congress did liberalism in the 1990s, but they didn't go that far as Modi and the current regime to go and privatize many of the public sector units. They didn't go that far, and they probably had a little bit of welfare policies in between. Unlike Modi, who has been cutting on the education budget, healthcare budget, and many other social services, basically. So, and at the same time, he is also somebody who is cutting on the corporate tax. You look at the report recently, 50%, bottom 50% of India pays around 64% of the tax. Freaking hell, this is in economic hell. Real hell may not exist, but an economic hell does exist here in the world, basically. That 50% of the bottom population pays 64% of the tax. Imagine the remaining 36% कहाँ से आ रहा है आपका? So the corporate tax has been considerably cut. उनके लिए तो भाई lottery है ये. It's almost a lottery for them basically. And then you come back the middle class, the upper middle class and the lower middle class. Lower middle class has been pushed to the brink of poverty. अपर मिडिल क्लास तो भाई हम तो झेल रहे हैं, हम तो इनकम टैक्स दे रहे हैं, हम तो प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स दे रहे हैं. आनंद रंगनाथन seems to never even bring up this question even once or twice as a second thought. बेसिकली उसका ये है कि भाई हिंदू खतरे में है, दिस इज ए मोर इम्पोर्टेंट इशू देन योर टैक्स इश्यूज एंड एक्सेट्रा बेसिकली. या पीएम रंगा अनपढ़ ये पढ़ा लिखा गवार बोल रहा है. या दैट्स व्हाट इट इज. I can trace the best example of this as Amog Leela Das, who was recently banned from ISKCON, who claims to be educated at IIT, but if you look at his talks, it's a classic example of यार मैं तो आईआईटी में गया था, engineering is not for me, I realized that. I went into a corporate company and I realized corporate company is a stress. It's an economic stress, it's a management stress. Sorry boss, I cannot work here. Finally he thought कि चलो कॉमेडियन भी बन जाए, लेकिन कॉमेडियन also takes lot of courage to do satire and crack jokes in a country like India where you could be arrested virtually by any political party on any given day basically. तो भाई इतना काम करते हैं, धर्म के लेकर के धर्म के नाम पर ही जोक्स मारते हैं एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए. बेसिकली दैट्स व्हाट ही इज डूइंग राइट नाउ, एंड दैट्स अ वेरी क्लासिकल एग्जांपल ऑफ पढ़ा लिखा गवार basically. I mean, somebody who is educated, but when it comes to common sense and rational thinking and even logic, they just like ये हमारे लिए नहीं है. Basically that's what it is. Stream at 6 p.m. Yeah, I have to see, but I for now I've kept at 8 p.m. 6 p.m. I have to see because 6 p.m. मुझे क्या होता है कि मैं बाहर जाता रहता हूँ, मतलब काम के लिए. संडेस मेरा होता है. तो isn't America behaving like their very own concept of devil Satan eating its own? Yeah, I mean basically that's what it is. To be very honest, American empire is they're kind of going towards the verge of collapse. And I don't think it's like immediate, but it will be somewhere in the near future basically. So America currently has something like 800 plus military bases. The US government is printing trillions and trillions of US dollars to pay off the 33 trillion the debt, the interests on those debt. Basically they're just paying off the interest, forget about the principal. Okay, it's just the debt. That's what the US government is printing money for, and that actually explains what is really happening in the Middle East. And what is happening in Israel is very horrible. I don't have words, but basically let me put it this way. Basically US has kind of effed Israel somewhat in a different way. Basically, uh, US provided 24 or 27 billion dollar to Zelensky, Ukraine, to fight the Putin, the Russians, basically their ongoing war. And there is no chance that Ukraine is winning as of now. There is no chance, and it's and it's almost done basically. That the Ukrainian soldiers and the NATO soldiers are surrendering in thousands. 10,000 or 17,000 soldiers like already surrendered. So Ukraine is not going to win. US has somewhat realized it. But what is most shocking is Hamas, the terrorist group, the jihadist group in Gaza Strip, is using the Ukrainian weapons, the weapons provided to the Ukrainians, to attack the Israelis. That's what is happening. And I really feel for the Israeli families who have been attacked, brutally raped, etc., etc. And there has been ongoing escalation. IDF has responded as they do as usual. They have, responded by, taking on the Palestinians. But did they really take on Hamas? Hamas is the real big threat I see as of now. How I look at Israel-Palestine issue, of course, I never going to write off the Islamic ideology behind the jihadism which happens. That's always a factor to look at. Never writing it off. However, along with that, what else you can see is the play of money power behind the Israel and behind the Palestine. Basically, few days back, the Ayatollah or the Grand Mullah of Iran visited the Hamas leader and he said death to Israel. And now it's they're just going like nuts. Zombies attacking Israelis, literally, quite literally, Hamas. Okay, that's what's happening. And IDF has responded. They have attacked the Palestinians as well. They have retaliated in defense as well. Hamas has killed, raped women. They have paraded the bodies in the naked, which is, I mean, as I said, no words to describe. uh, I do think people needs to be take this very sensitively rather than taking it as simple. Either you stand with Israel or either you stand with Palestine. It's not a simple issue of standing with Israel or with Palestine. Basically, behind the Hamas terror group is the hand of Israel and IRGC. Sorry, behind uh, Hamas terrorist group is the hand of Iran. Sorry, Iran, not Israel. Iran. Iran and its IRGC. Behind Israel is the hand of US and the the West allies basically. So that's what you need to keep in mind. Okay. So it's not a very simple say कि आप किसका side लोगे. Of course, if you ask me where I can take side on, I can only take side on anti-jihadism. Fight the jihadists. That's all I can take side on. Okay. Palestinians themselves do or IDF does, I don't care. Okay. So here is the thing. The big deal is Hamas. Going after Hamas, getting them rid of, that would help, along with the IDF, removing their settlement from the West Bank. Okay, that can enable de-escalation to a significant extent. Okay, and then you can have a dialogue that yeah, Palestine is a separate country, Israel is a separate country, two nations solution done. So that's my take. Okay, on this issue. Why should Ranga speak about it? He's a biology scientist. The problem is, I wish he had only continued to speak on science, but he seems to be speaking on politics. I'm not saying he can't have a political opinion. It's all fine in democracy, but the real deal is he himself acts like a neoliberal con and yet calls out classical liberalism. It's like neoliberal saying to a classical liberal, no. That's what is happening. He's calling classical liberal as enemy. Okay, who is calling that neoliberal? That's what is happening in America. In America, you have the neoliberal Democrat calling out the classical liberal Republicans. That's the deal here. That's exactly what is happening here. And again, neoliberalism and liberalism are kind of exchangeable in many ways. You never even know कि कब वो liberal बन जाए और neoliberal बन जाए. Neoliberal is like more कट्टर liberal कि मैं ज्यादा कट्टर हूँ इस चीज को लेकर के. क्लासिकल लिबरलिज्म सेज कि भाई एडम स्मिथ का जो आइडिया था कैपिटलिज्म चलो वही बेस्ट था. We better stick to that basic foundation and everything will kind of magically sorted out. वो उनका है क्लासिकल लिबरलिज्म का. So anybody who says Librando should call them as neo-Librando, basically. That's what I suggest. Okay. यहाँ पे भी मैं बहुत सारे typical example या Andabhakt Ranganathan believes that Brahmagupta discovered gravity but doesn't talk about how Aristotle discovered gravity before Brahmagupta, and Newton's laws of universal gravitation is more scientific. Of course, he has to impress the Hindu scientists. Uh, Basically, I mean to say, जो हिंदुत्व ऑडियंस है उनको थोड़ा नमक मिर्ची डाल के आपको देना पड़ेगा. Basically, that's what he's trying. I have to meet Susie, but what the fuck? Okay, so basically, that's what he's doing, and it's quite interesting that where what are the real news channel where he really goes and claims to rip apart the left. And you look at the opponents. You know, when you look at the debates by Anand Ranganathan, who are the people who are in the opponents? Who are the real people? Come on, big deal. Let's be honest. Mani Shankar Iyer, Sanjay Jha, and another one or two people. That's it. Who are they? I mean, are they different from liberalism? No, they are liberal with maybe slight Nehruvian tinge. Okay, Anand Ranganathan is a neoliberal. So all he's doing in a debate is picking up a very comfortable, quite comfortable, easy to deal with opponent, and not somebody who has read uh, the traveler's accounts, read the archaeological evidences thoroughly to debate on history. Mani Shankar Iyer is nowhere even close to, uh, I mean, he's not even a historian. He's a politician, Congress politician, former. He is no longer with the Congress. Okay. Sanjay Jha, he is somewhat, he is still in Congress, but a politician. He is not a somewhat an expert. Yet, they are the people picked up for debate with whom? With Sanjeev Sanyal, Anand Ranganathan, then you have Desh Ratan Nigam, Lalita Kumar Mangalam at where? At St. Xavier's College. Wow. And what the end result of the debate is flashlight with phone on which side? All favoring the Ranga side, basically. Ki, हाँ, हमको history should be rewritten. That's what they're doing. And history, what are you really going to rewrite it? It's already rewritten, freaking. आपको बस syllabus बदलना है. Whatever they claim that it's not there in the history textbook, basically they're saying it's not there in the syllabus. It's there in the textbook but not in the syllabus. Basically you आप syllabus change कर दो बस. Textbook already has everything that you are saying or claiming that is not there. I have gone through 6th and 7th standard school textbook. Almost what they were saying कि हमारे पास ये नहीं था, हमारे पास वो नहीं था, हमने ये नहीं पढ़ा था, हमने वो नहीं पढ़ा था. All that is there. It's just that it's not covered in the syllabus for what is going to come in the exam, basically. So you change the syllabus. Why are you changing the textbooks? I mean, you require only basic common sense to, just point out this mistake, basically. I don't know. I mean, when I was in 7th standard, we had only very few chapters for coming in the exam, and we read only those, and we cleared the exams. And as usually it happens in India, it's a rote learning, which is nothing more than that, basically. कि भाई हमको मार्क्स से मतलब है, मेरे को मार्क्स अच्छा मिल जाए, मेरा ग्रेड्स अच्छा हो जाए, रट्टा मार के ही करना है तो कर लो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. Basically, that's how the approach goes. Okay. So back in the day, I was a very curious person. I used to go through pages. Lalita Kumar Mangalam was mentioning, Rani Durgavati was not even mentioned. A home kingdom was not mentioned in school textbook. Who was saying? Sanjeev Sanyal. I bet they haven't opened the Goyal brothers Prakashan's textbook and gone through entire textbook of it as well. I bet he hasn't. 6th 7th स्टैंडर्ड में मैं पेज पे पेज घुमाता था, मैंने देखा है रानी दुर्गावती और अहोम के ऊपर एक चैप्टर था, द गॉन्ड किंगडम which Rani Durgavati ruled. We of course didn't have that chapter in the syllabus. आप सिलेबस के प्रॉब्लम को टेक्स्ट बुक पे डाल रहे हो, क्या आप टेक्स्ट बुक ही बदल दोगे? ये क्या पागलपन है? व्हाट इज दिस मैडनेस? प्रॉब्लम लाइज विद द सिलेबस, फ्रीकिंग इडियट्स। सिलेबस को आप ठीक करो बस, टेक्स्ट बुक को क्यों बदल रहे हो चूतिए? दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव टू से हियर. And he was mentioning that Chola Empire is not there, Dutch colony was not there, this was not there. Hang on, आप स्कूल के बच्चे को सारा कुछ पढ़ा दोगे तो कॉलेज में जाके वो क्या पढ़ेंगे? इट्स अ वेरी फ्रीकिंग कॉमन सेंस हियर, यू इडियट. इतना कॉमन सेंस की बात है. मर्तंड वर्मा डिफीटिंग होम द डच, ओके, and other kingdom. I remember Kodavas defeating Tipu Sultan, etc. Okay, Karnataka. And Wadayars were the ruler back then. Tipu Sultan was not the ruler. He was just a commander. Let me be clear. तो मैंने उनसे ज्यादा हिस्ट्री पढ़ रखी है क्या? नहीं, मैंने भी उतना ही पढ़ा मैंने जितना 8th स्टैंडर्ड में पढ़ा है. ठीक है. I came to know that Tipu Sultan was a commander under the kingdom of Wadayars in Karnataka. When I visited Mysore, when I visited the palace. Okay. So what nonsense are they talking about? कि हमने ये नहीं किया वो नहीं किया. आप सिलेबस बदलो. प्रॉब्लम इज विद द सिलेबस, नॉट विद द टेक्स्ट बुक. टेक्स्ट बुक हैज दैट. ओके, एंड द रियल प्रॉब्लम इज, चलो आप बच्चे को सब कुछ बता दिए, वो 11th 12th में और डिग्री में क्या पढ़ेगा फिर? आर्ट्स का सब्जेक्ट लेगा तो. I mean, okay, no, arts is not there technically, but let's say if they take history as a subject, higher studies, what will they read? यही पढ़ोगे कि भाई आपने 9th और 8th स्टैंडर्ड में पढ़ लिया आपने सब कुछ. oh man, come on, इतना अकल की बात है लेकिन yeah. I thought we were talking about America. Yeah, I was talking about America in the sense कि वहाँ liberalism और neoliberalism क्या है basically. I was meaning that. आनंद रंगनाथन विल से कि भाई मैं लियो लिबरल नहीं हूं, मैं एथीस्ट हूं, आई एम प्राउड टू बी ए हिंदू, आई एम प्राउड टू बी दिस. वो बोलेगा ये, लेकिन द फैक्ट इज ही इज डूइंग एवरीथिंग व्हाट ए नियो लिबरल कॉन डज. बेसिकली ही डज दैट. आप मानते नहीं हो, आप बोलते नहीं हो, लेकिन आप करते हो वही हो बेसिकली. एंड if anybody thinks liberalism, neoliberalism is against nationalism, hang on, go to Google, type nationalism, capitalism in the Google search, you see trends. And these trends are from the last 200 years. As the capitalism has increased, so too has the nationalism. Liberalism and neoliberalism is nothing but capitalism in a stricter sense. So if you think liberalism is against nationalism, no. They go hand in hand with nationalism. They seem to forget that. And most Indian audience who would have been hearing those debates, I wish I could ask, what is liberalism? पहले आप define करो. Neoliberalism क्या है वो define करो. आप है क्या वो? आपको पता है? He uses the word like Marxist ecosystem. Hang on, what is Marxism? आप Marxism को जानते ही कितना हो? आप क्या पढ़े हो Marxism के बारे में? क्या आपने मार्क्स का वर्क्स पढ़ लिया है? एंजल्स का वर्क्स पढ़ा है? आपने क्या जो है डायलेक्टिकल मटेरियलिज्म बाय हेगल वो पढ़ा है? हैव यू? most people don't even know about those things. They don't even hear about it. उनको लगता है कि लिबरलिज्म मतलब कांग्रेस हो गया, लेफ्ट मतलब कांग्रेस हो गया, कम्युनिस्ट मतलब कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी और वही कांग्रेस हो गया, सब एक ही है, एक ही क्लब कर दो. At the end, you end up voting for neoliberalism. That's what you're voting for. At the end of the day, neoliberal economic policies. That's what you're voting for BJP. हिंदुत्व इज जस्ट एन एक्सक्यूज. उनको थोड़ा तड़का और मसाला चाहिए. इट्स काइंड ऑफ शेम कि उनको शर्म आती है बोलने में कि भाई मैं न्यू लिबरल पॉलिसीज इंप्लीमेंट कर रहा हूं, मेरे को इस पे वोट दो. वो कहने में इनको शर्म आती है. दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई दे हैव टू टेल कि आई एम ए प्राउड हिंदू, आई एम ए कल्चरल हिंदू, आई एम ए सिविलाइजेशनल हिंदू. मुझे ये टर्म यूज करके वोट लेना है. ये है बेसिकली, दैट्स व्हाट इट इज. Who reads history in college except historian. Yeah, basically that's true. Google 200 years से है. Basically historical data, I mean. I don't know how Google managed to do it. You can just type it and trend you check 1800. Basically, I'm not joking here. For one thing sure, I think Google has this algorithm to collect the historical data. मतलब जो डेटा फिजिकली है उसको डिजिटली ट्रांसलेट करना बेसिकली. I mean, I'm not surprised if Google has already done that. They have plenty of data centers to already do that basically. So I'm not surprised here basically. Of course, Google was not there, but what Google did is when they implemented the solution and algorithm, they probably included those historical data as well digitally, basically. Communism, bhale hi alag alag. Yeah, I mean, that's a fact. When you say communism, I wouldn't even call it as communism. I would rather call it as, uh, revisionism. Basically, revisionist. कि हाँ हम पहले मानते थे मार्क्स को, हम मानते थे एंजल्स को, लेकिन क्या करें, हम अपना नाम बदल थोड़ी सकते हैं. तो अभी हम थोड़ा चाटना शुरू करेंगे लिबरलिज्म का. बेसिकली व्हाट देयर सेइंग इज it's like a revisionism. I never even refer to it as communism in strictest sense, though the party may be communist, but it's kind of revisionism basically. कि मैंने थोड़ा रिवाइज कर दिया है, मैं थोड़ा अब उनका साइड लूंगा basically. And by the way, Communist Party Marxists supported the economic quota basically, EWS. So that doesn't even surprise me now. Why would they would do that? That explains it. Okay, so revisionism कि मैं थोड़ा वो पहले इनकलाब जिंदाबाद बोलता था, अभी मैं जो हूँ मैं वो प्रो कांग्रेस का स्लोगन डालना शुरू करूंगा. So it's matter of like kind of survival, and it's also kind of like kind of a way to stand with the popular again, stand against this populist image of Modi. It's only a strategy. I'm not sure how this all will work out. I just leave it up to uh, election and blah blah blah. But to be honest, uh, if you really want to know what communism in India was in real strict sense, you would rather read Bhagat Singh, you would rather read M.N. Roy, you would rather read D.D. Kosambi, these people basically, to have a nuanced understanding of that ideology in India in its application. You would also read Ambedkar as well, though he never called himself communist, but he was somebody who believed in equality and social justice. You would also read work by Somendranath Tagore, who was the grand nephew of Ravindranath Tagore, who was also communist at the time. So you would rather read those to get a sort of nuanced understanding. And believe it or not, all the criticism which BJP brings up against Nehru is nothing but copy paste of what communists already said against him, basically. जो criticism M.N. Roy, Bhagat Singh, राहुल संस्कृत्यायन, डीडी कौसम्बी ने नेहरू को लेकर के किया है, आप उसका सिर्फ कॉपी पेस्ट करके बता रहे, आप नया क्या बता रहे हो उसमें. देयर इज नथिंग न्यू इन इट. Communists already criticized him, and you're just copy pasting that criticism and showing it off as though you were the one who is criticizing them, basically. I mean, that's what he's doing, basically. The right wing, which includes the Anand Ranganathan, basically. So you even if you look at Gandhi, Ambedkar already debunked Gandhi. He was very critical of his views. आप नया क्या उखाड़ रहे हो? आपने तो कुछ नया उखाड़ा नहीं है. आप बस वो अंबेडकर ने जो लिखा है उसी का ही तो आप बता रहे हो. आपने खुद का कुछ क्या नया उखाड़ा है वहां पे? So yeah, it's बकलोलिज्म. yeah, kind of आज के टाइम पे. If you would rather if you put Communist Party of India and you put Chinese Communist Party, I bet 9 out of 10 will trust Chinese Communist Party. Basically, they follow market socialism. Deng Xiaoping का जो idea था socialism का idea, they left Maoist ideology, that section of that thing, and they moved to market socialism. So market socialism is like, I need profit, I need capital, I need productivity. Capital market brings me that. However, I am going to distribute this profit and the wealth to the people, though I will take the productivity of the capitalism. Basically, that's what China has adopted, market socialism. So which has went a long way, and China is not the only country. Vietnam has done it, Cuba has done it partially, so they have kind of been successful in that area of their economic policy. So you could technically say they are kind of economically left even now. Economically left, basically. You could say it in technical terms. Of course, there has been lot of change even now. Yeah. Early communism in India was like that of बागी अ, तो अब मोदी गांधी के टाइम नहीं पैदा हुए, ये उसकी गलती तो नहीं है, obviously. But the real thing is, he most people from BJP or the right wing never even acknowledge the credit which they should be giving to them in order to put up the criticism against Nehru, basically. आप उनको भी तो क्रेडिट दो भाई, कम से कम. Of course, today Communist Party may not deserve anything much of it, but basically you can name the writers who were critic of नेहरू एंड से कि भाई हाँ हमने उनका क्रिटिसिज्म लेकर के हम उसी को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं. बट यू नो द थिंग इज, दिस इज, इंडिया इज ऑलवेज ए खिचड़ी व्हेन इट कम्स टू पॉलिटिक्स. you you never know when there is left, when there is right. I can go by the same logic of Anand Ranganathan and say, hey, BJP is a neoliberandu, BJP is leftist, because they are providing free ration to 82 crore people. I can probably say like that. Should I? I mean, there is a question on mark on it. However, I don't say it because based on the economic policy of the Congress and the BJP. One is a classical liberalism post 1990s with Nehruvian color on it. The other is a classical neoliberal policy, basically. That's what BJP brings in. Okay. That's the difference between the two. Okay. Communist Party तो नाम का है. They are just following revisionism, basically. कि हाँ हम जो है वो मार्क्स को साइड में रखते हैं, लेनिन को साइड में रखते हैं, भगत सिंह को साइड में रखते हैं, एम एन रॉय नहीं चाहिए हमको, राहुल संस्कृत्यायन नहीं चाहिए हमको, डीडी कोसंबी नहीं चाहिए हमको. हमको चाहिए भाई कांग्रेस ही की तरह वोट्स. ठीक है, बदलू बन जाओ बस. एंड टू बी क्वाइट फ्रैंक, BJP has many candidates who, especially in West Bengal, Tripura as well, many candidates who were from Communist Party. So BJP has many Congress, 50 to 60% of today's BJP is composed of former Congress leaders, basically. So if Anand Ranganathan is to really direct his attack, he should probably attack them as well. You are looking at, hey, you have Congress is within कमल का फूल, हाथ के अंदर कमल का फूल आ गया, गजब है. Basically, that's what he should be doing. If he is so much ideologically oriented, probably he should think about it. Hello, here from Meghnar Discord server. What's this stream? This stream is about a kind of my own rant against Anand Ranganathan. I mean, a kind of a fun rant. I'm trying to have fun, though I know it may not be very funny. But basically, I'm trying to have fun. उसकी बातें क्या है मुझे आज तक समझ में नहीं आई. ठीक है, so Anand Ranganathan pretends that he is not that what the other opposite side is, but till until the news laundry, he was basically that. Even post that, if you support his look at his economic policy and his support to Modi government, he is now different from a neoliberal con, basically. Anand Ranganathan. He is a neoliberal con. And a neoliberal con is debunking liberalism. And he's trying to portray to the audience the left, the liberal, and the communist are one and the same thing. Wow. उसको पता भी नहीं है कि आइडियोलॉजी है कि नहीं उसका ठीक से स्टडी उसका. That's basically Nehruvianism. Nehruvianism was prevalent until I think 1980s. Yeah, until 1980s. It was prevalent, but after 90s, I don't think Nehruvian is prevalent even within Congress. I mean, they do talk about Nehru and they do try to include certain of his economic viewpoints, but basically it's liberal economic point, liberalism, classical liberalism, basically. Else, that's what it is. So you need to keep that in mind when you look at Congress of the 1990s and the pre 1990s, basically. Yeah. Okay, so I do invite people to come and join my live stream and talk about it. I think I have did my own sufficient rant on neoliberal con Anand Ranganathan, basically, and he may pretend many things, but he seems to be doing exactly that what an American neoliberal con does. So only thing is he adds this tadka of Hindu versus Muslim. That's the only thing. Indira Gandhi already killed. Yeah, she did partially. I think she did partially. I guess partially she did, but not completely. Yeah. Of course, Rajiv Gandhi was somebody who actually did implement many of this socialist policies of Nehruvianism. Basically, he did go to that extent. But उसके बाद अगर आप पीवी नरसिम्हा राव देखो या मनमोहन सिंह देखो, it doesn't look much different actually. They have been all uh, 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 kind of liberal classical there basically. Sanchi says भाई ये चार्वाक कौन है? So it's just a name for a certain school of thought which resembled Epicureanism of India, basically, or at the best, a materialist school in India. Yeah. But one can study it academically to understand whether what are its historicity. There have been early videos in my channel. You can just go out and check. You can read certain books which I have recommended in the early videos of this channel. So if you feel free, do read them. Yeah. So basically यहाँ पे मुझे जो बोलना था वो तो बोल दिया. Because you know मुझे अब समझ में नहीं आ रहा है आगे मैं और क्या बोलूं, because और क्या बोलो. Sometimes again in Beer Bicep show he recently talked about his heart attack issue. I don't know why this heart attack happened, but I presume there are many reasons. Most probably diet is one of the reason why these things happen, but there could be other reasons as well, like too much stress, blood pressure. So it's quite natural that when you go into toxic debates and when you over rant, when you get excited beyond certain level and you increase certain stress, okay, it's quite natural that that would have also played a certain role in his getting heart attack. And I do hope, I wish that he continues to be healthy. No, you know, enmity there. But as I said, toxic debates. Uh, Recently, one Congress person also actually died of heart attack. His name was Sanjeev Tyagi or something. Yeah, Rajiv Tyagi, Congress, spokesperson. He used to attend these toxic debate shows on Times Now, Republic TV, News Nation. and News 18 and uh, CNN, this blah blah, these things. He used to attend it there. After some time, he passed away basically. So that actually shows toxic debates are very bad for health. The Indian media show the kind of primetime debate they do. I don't think it's not only healthy for the panelists, not only unhealthy for the panelists, but it's also unhealthy for people who watch it from home, especially the children and the family. That how much damage they could be doing health wise, basically, mentally. It can put stress, it can put lot of pressure, undue pressure, basically. You may not have any immediate threat or no threat at all, but you presume there is a threat every single moment of your life. Basically, death will not kill you, but you are dying of the fear of death. That's how, to that extent, the mind has been tried to poison in this Indian society, and it's typical urban areas, educated people who have actually embraced this. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody is healthy diet wise but is still end up getting heart attack. Maybe there are other reason, and toxic media debates could explain why that is. Somehow doubt stresses this issue. The man has the emptiest mind. Uh, yeah, I mean that's true, because when you go in those debates, you just get on with the flow. अगर मैं भी उस debate में जाऊंगा, I would really have to shout and shout the hell out of my mind, really, to make my point. Anchor जो होगा वो moderate नहीं कर रहा होगा. Anchor is basically taking side. He is like बीजेपी का स्पोक्स पर्सन है, बी प्रो बीजेपी है, या प्रो कैपिटलिस्ट या प्रो न्यू लिबरल है, उसको वो बैठाएगा और बोलेगा भाई तुम रैंट करो. प्रो हिंदुत्व है, उसको बोलेगा रैंट करो तुम. I will allow you every single day. Other person tries to respond, but he is not allowed to speak, or he is abruptly interrupted, or his mic is muted off when he is speaking and responding. And basically, that's what it is, toxic debates. And when they're allowed to respond, when they're allowed to speak loudly, only in within few minutes they have to make all their major points. How are they going to, make up for the time lost to the right wing debaters? How are they going to make up for it? The only way they are going to make up for it is they put lot of mental stress, they collect all the thoughts they could, and they just go after it. Basically, it's so much of undue pressure. सोचो बीपी कितना इंक्रीज होता होगा उस टाइम पे. Wow. And the kind of books people like Anand Ranganathan and they write, one could read the book and say and appreciate it, or one could really get stressed out. अगर आप मेंटली स्ट्रांग हो तो भाई शायद आप उन चीजों को पढ़कर शायद आप थोड़ा संभल जाओ, लेकिन अगर आप मेंटली स्ट्रांग नहीं हो, you read the thing of the books written by Anand Ranganathan, Jay Sai Deepak, and you would rather commit suicide, thinking that कि भाई मुझे तो मुसलमान आके मार ही देगा तो मैं तो सुसाइड ही कर लूं, बेसिकली अगर आप मेंटली स्ट्रांग नहीं हो तो. So that's the kind of books they write. It's literal fear mongering. आपको वो डरा के इतना रखे कि इतना डरो, इतना डर जाओ कि आप जिंदगी भर से बीजेपी को ही वोट करो, भले ही वो कमल के फूल के आसपास वो गधे का फोटो हो. Basically, it's that strategy. Yeah. I'm a chamar Babar. My life has been ruined by this Brahmanica. I would want to fuck this system upside down. Yeah, I do understand, and I too want that. And I hope caste census survey happens in every single state, and there is a justice to it. Basically, Israel. Yeah. Sanchi. Okay, the way out is, I think I have posted some community post on social and economic issues where I've suggested there should be caste census countrywide. There should be distribution of resources based on caste, but not based on religion. Basically, caste is there in all the religious community. So issue has to be dealt with caste, not in terms of religion. caste from Muslim community, Hindu community, Christian community, Sikh community, all community, basically. Distribution of resources. Third thing would be reservation and representation based on the census data, basically. Okay. Fourth thing, I would recommend free education and free healthcare for the SC, ST, OBC primarily. Okay. So these things can help to a great extent. And fifth thing, land redistribution for SC, ST, and OBCs. Okay. And sixth thing will be skill development. The SC, ST, OBC community really need to buckle up and come back to 20th century. They need to develop the skills of 21st century. You need to know English, you need to know communication skills, you need to know public interaction, you need to know everything about Office 360, Microsoft 360. You need to know, managing and sending mails, professional mails, business English, all these things. That would be really helpful in a long way to go, basically. Sanchi leave chamarism. How to do that, darling? Unless I die, chamarism will not leave me. Get a no cost certificate. Yeah, no cost certificate is another thing I have added as a part of solution. It's always optional, but one could get that. So these are some of the way I have suggested, which would go a long way in terms of social justice. Okay, long way. So I think if not, who else is joining my live? I am just waiting for people to come here and let's continue. Yeah, to join my click on the StreamYard link, join here, talk with me and share. Siddharth Vijay Kumar, yeah, I request you to join if you can. So let's continue. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. What happened? Yeah, grave silence. I was going to take my food for dinner. Okay, I think I will end this live stream in case Arya Bengali Brahman by birth. No, man. I'm not a Bengali, that's for sure. Okay. Why this grave silence? Actually, मैं खाना लेने गया था, but I think I will continue the stream next week. Let's have it like 1 hour, something like that next week as well on some other topic. So basically, I would request you all to share this live stream to many people and let's put it together. And I hope we'll have another part 2 video on roast guy. Roasting the roast. Basically, that's what put it that way. मैं रोस्ट करने वाले को ही रोस्ट कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे. Okay, with this I end my live stream. Bye. Let's come back next week.